All right. So what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today we're here with RJ Mahdi. Now, this brother is out in Senegal, in Dakar to be exact. And he's sitting there, look like he's living a great life. He look like he's happy in Africa. So, brother, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
All right, brother. So I'd like to know, there's a few questions like, where you from originally in America? And I got to find out what made you make that transfer, because a lot of people, they be getting at me about, I ain't trying to go to no Africa.
I was born in Philadelphia, but I grew up in Atlanta. I spent much of my youth and young adulthood in Atlanta. Grew up in Decatur, since then, though, I'd lived, several places in the States. I lived in South Florida, Miami. I lived in New York for a few years, lived in Ohio, Memphis, kind of moved around. I've been around, when it comes to in the States. But making the move was, a transition that was well thought out. It was something that we, really had a game plan behind, and we thought that we would, see it through. So here we are, 5 years later.
All right, so when did you make your first trip to Africa?
The first time I visited was in 2001, actually. I came here for 1 year. I spent a year here studying with Sheikh Hassan Cisse in Medina Bay, which is a spiritual city here in Senegal. So after spending a year here as a youth, I came back to the States. By then, I could speak the language, and I had some idea of what the environment was like here, and I kind of understood also some of the things that were here that I knew were missing in our communities back in the States. So it was kind of like seeing the other side. It gave me an opportunity at a young age to see something different, and that was impactful to me, through my adulthood. So I always kind of had a desire to come back. I always kind of knew that one day, when the path aligned right, I would return, and I made that return in 2014.
So you said some things that were missing, definitely here within the black community in America, and you say you kind of saw it there. What are we missing, and what did you find there?
I think the most important thing that we're missing in a lot of our, we call them communities, but it's funny, the irony, because that's exactly what's missing. And that's something that we see here a lot, that we don't really come up in the environment of. We have our neighborhoods, right, but we're missing a lot of the community aspects. We're missing a lot of the community economics, the community self-government. And here on the ground, you see that in the actual communities. You see people owning their land and giving land to family members and community members to develop communities of like mind. You see people here owning, locals, people from here owning their local utilities and facilities. You see people here who are actually being able to build schools, build clinics in their neighborhoods on a regular basis. So obviously we see some of these things in the U.S. We see people like LeBron have done these things. We see some of our, more, popular figures have done these kind of things. So it's not impossible in the U.S. But here on the ground, you see that all the time. You see that in all of the communities. You see that everywhere you go. And I saw that even as a youngster. It kind of hit me. It was like, man, we don't do this kind of stuff in our neighborhoods where we're from, and that's what's missing. So I knew that was something that we needed to get closer to. I knew it was something that I needed to get closer to. And once I did, it inspired me to continue to build for, those others who may, feel the same way.
So let me ask you a question. Can, a person from America, brother, sister, come to Senegal, and can we own land there?
Absolutely. We've got friends and families, clients and partners, all who've done that, myself included. Land is abundant here. Senegal is about 60% undeveloped. And there's a lot of room for people like us to come and be able to take advantage of some of those opportunities and build for our own. It's actually a fairly easy process. It's not lengthy. It's not difficult. It's not made difficult for those of us who aren't from here. And I think that has a welcoming aspect to it. When things are made easy for you to be able to come and grow as a community, I think we should be the first to be in line and do that. And until then, we can't be upset about anybody else who's standing in that line. So we should get in that line, and we should come and build together.
So on the aspect of when you come over there, can you get either a permanent residency or you can get citizenship?
I mean, there are pathways to all of that.
Mm-hmm.
There's the availability to get residency, which is fairly easy. If you come and you have the proper paperwork, which is really simple, and where you're living and things of that nature, that's fairly simple. When it comes to getting citizenship, that's another process that you can go through if you want to. It's not a simple process, so it does take a little bit of help. You probably need to get a local attorney or somebody who can help you go through that process. But the bigger picture is the fact that we as U.S. citizens can come here and stay here indefinitely and be able to start businesses here, own land here, develop relationships and learn our culture for as long as we like without any oppression or any constraints on your ability to move about. So obviously people have the concern of citizenship and things of that nature. And again, there are pathways to do that. But there are those of us who've lived here for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, who own land, they own schools, they're building, clinics and other types of projects here on the ground, and they're still U.S. citizens. They still travel back to the U.S. anytime if they like. You can stay here as long as you want, but those pathways are still available for us.
So the language, let's talk about that. I know Senegal is a lot of French speaking. Do they also speak English? Because I'm just someone to come over, they're from the United States. They don't know much French. I mean, how would they fare?
Yeah, so Senegal is definitely a French country. Wolof is the widest speaking language here, which is a tribal language, ethnic language here. Now, two things. Number one, there are ways to learn the language if you like. A lot of us prefer to learn it when we get here, especially if you want to be able to move about freely in areas that aren't English speaking. The thing that has helped people like myself to be able to live here and my family and others, Americans that we know that live here, is that there are small communities of us here that help each other and thrive around each other. So this is one of the things that early on, my family was able to learn the language. I knew the language before I came, but my family and other people, other Americans who live here, some of them didn't. But the fact that we live in communities that thrive around each other, we've been able to help each other, bounce off each other. The ones of us who speak the language have been able to teach the ones that don't, and also speak for them or translate for them in times that they need. So I think it's important for people who plan to move to a place like Senegal, especially if you don't speak French or Wolof, to come into communities of those of us who are here, or come with your own families or communities, so that you can be able to, support each other and thrive around each other. That's what's made it easy for those of us who've been here, for some time, is being around each other, helping each other. Some of us speak really good language, and if we didn't when we came, now some of us do. There are members who came here 3-4 years ago, spoke no Wolof at all. Now, we're around them and they're getting it, and we're like, oh, okay, you speak Wolof now, and they're able to move about as the way they want to. So it's not impossible. I don't want people to think, oh, language is the do or die. Either learn the language or come in groups of people, that we can, build together with.
So how much money does it cost U.S. a month to live, pretty decent in Senegal?
It depends on, your standard of pretty decent. So, again, the best situations are collective situations. But if you want to live really nice, they have the accommodations to be able to live. We're actually out today with some of our team members looking at apartments and homes here in an area called Mahdi, Dakar, which is one of the nicer areas in Dakar. And you can find whole houses, swimming pools, everything all included. You can find apartments, 2-3 bedrooms. They have such a wide range of nice available things here. I'd say plan anywhere around, if you want to live like, your typical lifestyle that we're coming from, and that's even, you know, based on different preferences, because everybody's different, everybody lives differently. I'd say, from $500 to $1,000, $1,500 can get you really nice accommodations here in most places in Dakar. And sometimes the best thing to do is build your own. And I think that's what we're not used to doing in our environments in the States. It's one of those things that we have to get used to, is to not just be renters forever, right? And obviously, there are situations where you need to rent short-term, mid-term, but when people start thinking about building their own homes, buying your land and building your house on it, and that's your house forever, nobody can take it from you. You don't have to pay rent ever again. All you have to do is pay your utilities and feed your family, right? The ability to have that kind of an asset extremely changes the cost of living for that person or that family. So, I always, tell a lot of the people that I consult, buy some land. Even if you don't build on it today, buy it. And when you're ready, this is an environment where you can, slowly begin to build on that land. You don't have to build the house all at once. And a house that will cost you, $150,000 to $200,000 in the States might cost you $50,000 to $60,000 or $70,000 here on the ground. So, start putting your money together. Think about building, what would cost you a year's worth of rent. You could probably own a home here.
So the land, I mean, good prime area, what is the land kind of going for?
Yeah, so it depends on the area. I mean, there's land as low as, if you want to live in rural areas, you got land that you can buy for, a couple $100, $1,000, $1,500. Most of the good land ahead of development in prime areas here in and around Dakar, or around Dakar, not really in Dakar, but out where the development is going, which is about to be the suburbs, I guess, here. You're looking at $5,000, $6,000, $8,000 a plot. And those are rising fast because the Olympics are coming. So we have the Youth Olympics coming here in 2022, and a lot of people are scrambling for, that position in here to be able to own land ahead of that, huge games. So, I suggest people to, get involved now if you want to get involved, because soon it won't be, available.
So basically what you're saying is land is not too expensive, because even $5,000 is not a lot of money. I mean, if you think about it in relation to land, right? Now, is that land, is it sold by the acre, or how much is it sold?
Well, I mean, it depends on who you're buying it from. But here it goes on hectares. They measure by hectares. America has its own geometric system. So here, every different. Instead of miles, we say kilometers. Instead of inches, we say centimeters, and so on and so forth. But they have hectares here. But that's not for a hectare of land. That's for like a plot of land. Maybe 150 to 200 square meters, or 200 meters squared, right? So those plots are about large enough to sit a townhouse or a small home on. They're not huge plots. You're not going to have a whole lot of land around your home, but that's how they build here. Though the houses are generally close together, or in a small setting.
So someone wants to come from the community, wants to get like a hub in Senegal, and they want to do some investments. What's the minimum amount that they need to get started?
Well, I mean, that's relative to where you want to start. So, we have projects that we are brokering for members of the diaspora, people from the U.S., people in the Caribbean, people, Afro Brits, if you will, folks in Europe. But these folks are investing on many different levels. You've got folks who are starting with a plot or two. You've got folks who are coming in wanting to buy up, acreage or hectares, at a time. Our focus right now is building a collective community. So what we're doing is we're focusing on purchasing a large area of land. Right now, we're looking between 300 and 600 hectares of land, which is big enough to build a small town on that we can all develop collectively. That's what we've launched here on the ground about 6 months ago. So we have teams here that are looking into all of the different factors it takes to build that on that land. So that's why I say it's relative, right? You want to just buy some land and throw some houses on it, or you want to buy some land and you want to make it appropriate for people to come and have jobs and recreation and schools and be able to live sustainably. And that's what we focus on. So, we put in a considerable amount of research in finding viable land for that. Those people who invest with us through our Investors Club and through the Made in Africa Project, they've been able to not only invest in that, but also have a say-so in how it works, to actually contribute their skills to the planning of that project. All of us have skills. We all have these different, ways that we are valuable, as a people. And that determines how you can invest. It's not just money to invest, right? Can you invest in a project intellectually? And we all have something that we can contribute to intellectually, whether it be, in dozens of different sectors and industries. So that's what we curate, with our specific investors. It's not just what can you put in cash-wise, but how can you contribute to the project intellectually? What resources can you bring? And then that, really puts together, the ultimate worth or value of the project.
So when you initially came over, and maybe just some people listening, what is their reception to African Americans once you get there?
Man, that's probably what keeps most of us here, or makes us come back if we didn't plan to stay long enough, right? Is the welcome. Senegal is the country of what they call Teranga, and that means hospitality. And that's one of the things that attaches so many of us to Senegal is when you come here, people are so hospitable, people are so welcoming. They allow you to find yourself or to find your way with ease, and that helps a lot, So people are very welcoming. They, obviously they adore those of us, African Americans, members of the diaspora. They love when we come home. When we come with the right mentality and we come with that open spirit, and we let them know we're here to return and we're here to experience our culture and history, I think that's the biggest form of love that they feel from us, and we get that in return heavily. So I think the welcome is probably one of the best things for us here, is when you get here, how people treat you as a member of the African community.
Yeah, I can relate to that, because when I went to Ethiopia last year and they found out, I was African American, they kept telling me, man, we're so glad you're here. Welcome home. Bring all your friends. I never had that reception in my life from strange people, and I was like, wow, I was like, I don't feel this good in America at all. It was like just, I was floored by that reaction, just telling us that welcome home, and, yeah, guys like coming up to me, giving me a hug, and I'm like, that was just strange to me, because I'm like, what is this, But they were genuine. They were like fake about it.
Yeah. They often ask us, where are the rest of you?
Yeah,
we get
that question.
A lot. Why don't more of you guys come here? We never see you guys. We see, the white people come on holiday, or vacation. The Chinese people come sometime in businesses or whatever, but we never see you Black Americans. Where are the rest of you? Come on back. So that's why we, take it serious when it comes to putting that call out. They tell that to us, and we just, magnify it to our brothers and sisters abroad that, you are welcome here. We hear it every day.
Yes, sir. Now, you mentioned something. I've heard this a few times being said. You mentioned having the right attitude. What does that mean?
I mean, it's just important to come with an open mind. It's important to come with the attitude of, there's a welcome that you give even as the guest, and sometimes, we might feel as though we, are in somebody else's house, right? We may feel sometimes as if we're in a place that we don't belong or we don't fit in. It's really important to come with an open mind, an open breast, and understand the differences and the likenesses that we share with our brothers and sisters on the ground. We've been away for a long time. There are a lot of things that we've picked up in the West that, sometimes we have to shake a little bit to get back into the understanding of our communities here. So, like I say, just come with an open mind, come with the understanding that, we have to relearn each other a little bit. Um, you really see a lot of similarities in the people and the way they, communities operate. There are a lot of similarities. So that tells you these are our people. But then there are a lot of different, cultural nuances that take some getting used to. And I think, when you kind of open your mind up to some of those things, take them with a grain of salt, learn why certain things are done certain ways. Um, you know, that's when you receive the warmest welcome, right? So don't always act like a tourist. Come and act like family. And that'll allow people to treat you like family. It's important.
Right. So when you get there and the people, trust me, ladies and gentlemen, it's overwhelming when they tell you welcome home. It's nothing like you ever felt before. That's why I really would like a lot of you guys to go and try it out. Go visit whatever African country you like to. Senegal, like I said, would be a good place as well as West Africa. Now, how's the weather out there in West Africa? Is it real hot? Is it humid? I mean, how is it?
Well, here in Dakar, it's beautiful. It's a lot like Miami. The weather you probably find in South Florida. It's pretty much sunny 9 months out of the year, and then you have a rainy season. Throughout the summer. It starts maybe in about the next month or so. The farther you go inside in Senegal, it gets pretty hot. So the other regions are pretty much like desert, arid kind of areas. They're not really adjacent to any water, so it's really hot, sandy. But different places in West Africa vary. Though you go into Gambia, it's a little different. Gambia is a little more tropical because it surrounds the water. So there's more of kind of like a tropical islandy feel. But this West Africa weather is probably like the best weather I've ever felt consistently. Right? So you don't have like a bunch of pop up weird weather. Like it's nice every day. Like you wake up every day, there's no need to check the weather. Like it's gonna be nice.
Okay, so you was mentioning, you have a basic Black American expat community there, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you go there and, like I say, you want to stay in Dakar, which Dakar is capital city, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so you stay in whatever hotel you like to stay in, and can you just travel to that community and start, greeting the brothers and sisters there, or you'd have to have some sort of connection?
Well, I mean, you mean the community where I'm a part of the community here? You talking about Medina Bay?
Yeah, yeah. What I'm saying is, because say some brothers and sisters come over there and they say, "Man, I want to go connect and see, the expats and kind of see how they living out here." Because sometimes they will convince you a little bit more about the country than anyone else.
Yeah, I mean the important thing to do is just reach out. I mean nobody likes to be popped up on. But
Hmm.
for people who like to come here, and we've been doing that actually for the past several years, is welcoming repatriates here on the ground. That's a part of what we do here in Senegal, period, and also in Medina Bay. When folks come from the U.S., 9 times out of 10, we help them to get acclimated. We help them to get settled in. We've picked up, dozens and dozens of people from the airport. We've helped folks to get settled into their apartments or help their kids get enrolled in school or, navigate the different scenes here. I mean, that's just really what's necessary to be done. I wouldn't advise anybody just want to come here and just come and just find a place and just plop down right in the middle of nowhere and just think you're gonna thrive like that. Like it's important to have somebody to support you, and that's what we do, especially through our Made Africa Project Investors Club. Our investors, when they're here on the ground, like we're like one big family. Even here in Dakar, we begin to build our own community of expats. We have regular expat socials where we all get together and go out to eat and get to know one another. And there's always new people that come, and we figure out, what we have in common and how we can help each other here on the ground. We all become good friends. So it's an environment where we need each other. So again, don't just show up and then just plop down. It's like I'm here. I'm gonna make it. Like build some connects, get involved, reach out to us, and we'll be happy to show you the way.
Now, let me ask you a question. When you're walking around, do you worry about the police harassing you?
Never.
Never at all. You never been harassed about jaywalking or you fit the description or something?
Never, not once, man. You know, the police here are real good folks, man. That's one of those things where, you know, we got to shake that when we get here. You know, a lot of us, even when we're here, you know, we see the police and we're like, is it okay? Right? You know, we shell shocked, man. We traumatized, but we got to lose that. You know, forget that when we get here, man. It's different, man. Don't expect that, you know, and don't have that on your heart. You know, those are the kind of things that make us sometimes defensive in situations we don't have to be. You know, it make us, you know, respond differently, right? Those are some of the things that we have to let it loose. You know, we're not under attack. You know, we're not being, you know, we're not being oppressed. You know, just take it easy. Let's enjoy the beauty of it. You know, so shout out to the Senegalese police, man. They're good people.
Yeah, and see, and anyone hearing you saying and say, "Oh my God, he's actually shouting out the police," you know, because you know, I mean, every 5 minutes you see the police drawing guns on brothers here, you know, for just looking weird, you know, we're gonna draw 100 guns on you, so. You know, like I said, all I can talk about really is what I saw in Ethiopia last year was the police didn't even have guns. The military had guns.
Yeah, they don't. Not all of them carry. Very few of them carry guns, and if they do, you know, these guys don't have to use guns. You know, there's no violent crime like that here. I mean, that's it's almost non-existent. Like if a gunfight breaks out here, it'll be news of the century. People will probably hide in their houses for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It's not even something that, you know, folks are used to, and you shouldn't be used to that. And that's what's important for us to understand. We shouldn't be used to the traumatized, you know, lifestyle that we have in the U.S. We shouldn't know 3 or 4 or 5 or a dozen brothers under 25 that have been killed in the streets. We shouldn't know of a half a dozen or a dozen young brothers under 30 who've all been to prison. We shouldn't know that. That's not normal, you know. And these are the kind of things that we have to break away from. Our kids can't grow up and see that. Like we can't normalize that for another generation. And when we step outside of the environment that has normalized it for us, we see that don't happen nowhere else in the world. These people are not imprisoning people for, you know, the BS that we're being imprisoned for in the U.S. They're not taking those kind of measures out on the public, on citizens, on people who are just living their lives. We have to understand that that's not normal, and we have to reach out to somewhere and consider migrating places that, you know, don't normalize it.
And Senegal, just as much as any other African nation, don't have a prison industrial complex.
Oh man, they try to figure out how to let people out. They don't even want to keep you in prison. They got to feed you in there. They're like, man, that's a bill. Ain't nobody trying to feed y'all.
You see, I mean, it's just like night and day. That's why I try to encourage. And you know, in October, brother, we're taking 20 people to Kenya in October. So, you know, hopefully they get that bug in them in October, the ones that we're taking. And maybe they'll want to come back. You know, we want to hit West Africa next year because we had a few invitations as well. So I love going to Africa, man. It's beautiful. It is so beautiful.
Brewing for 2020, you guys should get prepared for it, man. We'll send you an official invitation, but we're going to invite you guys out, man. We'll have a big, you know, sit down, man. All of us, man. We got to come out here together, sit at one table, man. That's what this next, you know, generation is about, man. We the leaders of that, so.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's true. Like I said, that I could just put that on my list, Senegal. You know, and I think, not mistaken, I think I'm thinking out loud right now. Because for some reason I thought we were supposed to even try to hit Senegal next year just for something else. But yeah, brother, I'm all for it. You know, they'd love to visit West Africa. And how far is Senegal from Liberia? Literally right next door.
Liberia's not right next door now. It's a few countries over though. We're next door to the Gambia. I travel back and forth to the Gambia quite a bit. Gambia is beautiful. We have a amount of resources there. We also give tours and travels there. But I believe you're going to Kenya with Worldviews, correct?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, Worldviews are good friends of ours, man. Partners of Made in Africa Project. So we're actually going to be doing some stuff with them next year as well, too. But that's what made me think about it is the Gambia. So we're putting together a group trip, you know, for Senegal and the Gambia for next year. So you guys, you know, stay tuned for the details. We'd love to have you on that trip, man.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anytime I get a chance to go to the continent, this is always a beautiful thing. So, no, RJ, tell people how to get to your website so you can be a part of that Investors Club, because that's my favorite thing, Investors Club. So how can we get to that?
Yeah, so it's really simple, madeinafricaproject.com. So that's madeinafricaproject, spelled out.com. Yeah, send us a message. You can reach out to us on social media. I'm on Instagram at King RJ Mahdi, King RJ Mahdi. I look forward to hearing from you. I mean, anything that we do from this point on, period, has to be collective, has to be something that we're all on code about, has to be something that benefits all of us and not just the few. It has to be something that we can fall back on, and leave the dependencies that we have elsewhere. It has to be something that's sustainable that we can pass on to our children, and not something that, we don't hear from in a few years, right? And that's what we've been building. That's what we've been focusing on. At Made in Africa Project, we've not just been able to assist tons of our members of the diaspora who've returned, but also providing jobs for folks here on the ground, for locals, creating opportunities and training young people and teaching them the modern standards of business and media and management, and being able to put them in positions to own and run businesses of their own. This is something that we have to include all of us in. And that's where we are right now. And everybody who's come to us so far, all of our members in the Investors Club are amazing. These folks have tons of skills and experiences and resources that they've all contributed. Many of them have active projects here on the ground, from poultry to agriculture to real estate to education projects to medical projects. I mean, it's amazing to see what we're able to do when we come together like this. So, those of you who feel like you have something to offer, if you feel like you desire, something new or something different than what we've been able to attain in the West, contact us, reach out. We're more than happy to be that bridge for you to get involved.
And I see, that you're on this interview now. The internet must be great over there in Senegal.
Yeah, we got 4G, man. We ain't got time to be on dial-up.
Well, there you go. Like I say, because he's in Senegal right now, and sometimes you do Africa interviews and he can go in and out on you, but it's doing great. So, RJ, thank you, brother, for joining us on the show today. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll put those contact information. You can go look at that website. But here on the African Diaspora News Channel, we want to make sure to connect with everyone that's throughout the diaspora, to try to connect and work as one. That's what we're trying to do, trying to join the diaspora in all the countries. So, RJ, I appreciate you, brother. You sound like you're doing great things, and hopefully we'll see you next year in Senegal.
All right, man. Take care.